Madman. There's just so many fun things. Like, it seems like such a fun deck to build and play, and I particularly haven't been testing it that much, but anytime I try to throw together a list on PTCGO or whatnot, like, it just seems like there's really unlimited, possibilities.
Definitely.
I just saw on I saw on Facebook that one player had top 32'd with Pyroar, Virizion, Genesect. Seems insane.
Yeah, I wonder how the energy works, but I suppose you have Super Rod in that format.
No, it was top 32, so it wasn't that. It was like that's how he got to top 32 with that deck.
Oh, wait, he played it in standard.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He ran something insane like 8 grass and 5 fire.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, in this game, this Seismitoad's going to take a lot of damage from this Emerald Flash coming up.
We're going to go ahead and do 140 after weakness.
Yep.
And
flip stone on it. So, I mean, it will be able to retreat. Ideally, it would be able to retreat, and Alex here would be able to get the knockout with a Pyroar. He is only a DC away.
There's a Tropical Beach. Do they support expanded on PTGO? Like, is there a button for it?
There is not a button for expanded. There isn't a button for unlimited, so if you and your buddy want to get together and test expanded, you can, but you cannot play it in ranked against random.
Interesting. I assume that's coming. I mean, it seems like they kind of have to implement that.
I'm not entirely, based off what I've seen in standard, you see some crazy stuff. I'm not entirely sure you want to give those people more cards. You might start to see some really wonky stuff.
That's fair, that's fair. So Ultra Ball finds another Litleo.
I mean, Alex can't be too happy right now about starting Seismitoad, given he has such an advantage. If he doesn't have one of those, that's just 2 extra prizes essentially for
Definitely.
Kevin.
There's the Megaphone, just trading 1 for 1 there into a Bicycle for 4.
That seems very good. We see a Lysander, a Fire, and is that a DCE?
Once again, if you're watching our live stream, I apologize. The internet just literally turned off, but this will be on YouTube in good 48 hours, and we'll update on Facebook with the results. So, and there's the knockout. Wow, so we got the Lysander and the Pyroar on the Genesect. That's a big game. There's the Enhanced Hammer. And there's a Sky Arrow Bridge.
And an N. Wow. I don't think you could ask for much more right now if you're Kevin. I mean, obviously, you want to ask and not get your Genesect knocked out. But, I mean, this is a really nice counter to a really big turn by Alex.
Definitely. I wonder if you could just, in Expanded, just play Virizion, Genesect, Garbodor. I mean, you don't get red signals that way. You don't get verdant winds that way.
I mean, it's definitely not out of the question. I think if you're going to do that, I definitely, if you're scared of Pyroar and scared of like Landorus and things that are weak to water, like you should probably just play Beartic.
True.
The biggest problem with Beartic though is the 3 retreat cost if you start a Cupchew.
Yeah, definitely.
That leads you to having to play 3 or more switches. I saw some that ran 4 switches even.
Right.
And then you're not going to be able to get things in there like healing cards or probably enhanced hammers for that matter. And enhanced hammers just seem too good and extended.
There's a second Genesect on the bench for Kevin. With a G-Booster in his hand.
It would have been nice if he would have been able to find a Plasma Energy here to get that knockout. Oh, he does have the Plasma Energy.
He does have the Plasma.
Did he already attach this turn though?
No, because the Emerald Slash last turn,
right.
So he had that 2 already.
So
I think that's what you do. I think you go ahead and knock out the... well, I actually don't know. I think you just... That's an interesting debate, actually.
He doesn't have the Muscle Band attached anymore.
Oh, true.
So he could not get the kill on the Leo.
Let's go ahead and take the 2 prizes. Wipe the board of the Seismitoad and load up the Genesect with the G-Booster in hand. Alex is on 4 cards now.
Yep.
5 after the draw. Yeah, we do see an Enhanced Hammer. Gonna go ahead and get that Plasma Energy off the Genesect, I assume.
I mean, would you even want to do that, considering that he might be able to just Shadow Triad back and bring up something else? Like, it's an interesting... I mean, I guess you would, because he's gonna have to use that to G-Boost.
Yeah, I think you might as well just take it off and hope that it doesn't have an energy.
Or not.
Yeah, it's not bad not
No.
to as well. I mean, I think you might as well, but I don't know the other contents of Alex's hand. That he could have something you just can't discard.
Right.
But certainly it's not going to probably mean the game. I mean, Kevin has 6 cards off the end. He played one of them going into 5, then do 2 more off the prizes of 7. So it's probably pretty safe to assume he has energy. Also, if he Shadow Triads for the Plasma, you're fine with that. You want him to. He wants a Shadow Triad for the G Booster back. If you're ever able to knock that out, no energy for Alex too.
Now, what do you do here if you're Kevin? Do you just start G boosting, or do you try to load up another Genesect?
I think you have to G Boost. I don't think you can actually wait too long. Like, if you hit here, put 2 more energy on your Genesect, and then he just Alex just has Blacksmith energy. You know what I mean? Like, you just are so far behind. I think if you can just put pressure. He already has 3 energy on the Genesect. Attach even to the other Genesect or something.
Right. And so we see, how many prizes does Alex have remaining? 3?
4.
4?
Yeah, he has 3 up top and 1 on the bottom.
Right, okay.
Kevin has 4 as well. And there's the Drifloon. And Kevin's actually not in a terrible spot here. Alex doesn't have that many cards in hand. There's nothing really going on.
I mean, keeping energy on the field is one of the best things you can do. With this Virizion Genesect, if you can get 2 Emerald Slashes off, you should be able to keep up throughout with the attachments.
Certainly. So I think I don't know if Kevin plays Energy Switch or what his counts are, but I think you kind of just have to go for it here. Attach the 4th Energy Genesect, retreat, and then discard 2, and then G Booster to discard 2, and then just say, hey, I have 1 more energy in hand, knocking out your other Pyroar. And that's exactly what he does. It's risky again. Alex could just have the knockout here, but that's unlikely given the concept of his hand. His hand is a Blacksmith and a Lysander.
I do not see an energy in his hand.
No, his hand is actually just Lysander now. He's going to go ahead and retreat to the Litleo and ship the turn back. And if Kevin can draw Plasma Energy, that's an Energy Switch there.
And he has
Plasma Energy, Red Signal to Pyroar, and it looks like Kevin will take this game. Lysander's the last card. Next card is a Floatstone. And yeah, it should be game.
Yep.
Yeah, if I'm Alex, I actually wait because Kevin could just easily not have an energy. I actually just make him have the energy and knock me out. He only had 2 on the Genesect, but either way, it doesn't really matter. And Kevin takes game 1, a little bit of a underdog.
I mean, I think that it's slightly unfortunate for Alex that he just happened to draw dead at the end, but I mean, in Kevin's defense, he did everything right there. He bounced the beach with his Sky Arrow.
Right.
Started setting up the Drifloon. So he was going to be in a good spot regardless of how that game played down, even if Alex was able to take another 2 prizes there.
Sure. I mean, certainly, I don't think anyone did anything wrong. Top 4. Certainly no one did anything wrong. It's just how the cookie crumbled. That end at the end by Kevin was a big game.
We should put a poll up in the chat to see if the fans want Amelia Miller back for the finals, or if they're enjoying the James Good and Kenny Wisdom show for the top 4 and top 8.
Let's go ahead and save as. So I'm fixing the frame now, so those of you who just joined us can tell what's going on.
So, alright, we still see them setting up.
Yeah, they're just getting set up here.
So this is the final weekend of regionals, correct?
Yep.
This is the 3rd weekend. So this is pretty much the goodbye to this format.
Yep.
I mean, there'll be some league challenges and stuff, but as we enter cities, we're going to have Phantom Forces.
Yep, Phantom Forces is coming out. This is the... I don't even actually know if there are league challenges in the next few weeks, but there very well could be. Those things seem to be scheduled at random. That's a mulligan by Alex.
Anything you're looking forward to in particular with the next set?
I haven't really looked at it. I'm interested in the Phantom Link cards, just in the sense that they exist. The Spirit Link cards. At least I want to see if that impacts anything. But I haven't really looked at the format too much. I'm not really a guy that looks at the upcoming sets and really cares about them too much. I found no correlation between the people who care about the new set a lot and talk about it and test it early and stuff, and people who actually end up doing well in that format. I'm unsure that it's all too relevant. But I'm sure there's some interesting cards in it.
I definitely don't test upcoming formats, but I certainly do look at the spoilers and start theory modding early on.
Right, right.
I'm always somebody who likes the latest and greatest things.
Fair enough. What do you like on the new set?
You know, I really think that's an interesting dynamic that you're going to be able to put tools on your opponent's side of the field. And that's interesting. It gives me a reason to play dumb cards like Tool Retriever now. Sam Chan is doing a little Irish jig in front of us.
I've never seen a man who lost in top 8 be happier.
He's got a solid 1.5 feet of height over Amelia.
Yeah, he does. So what do all the Team Flare tools do?
So from my knowledge, one of them makes it so when it's attached, your opponent has to pay an extra colorless energy to use their attacks. And I believe the other one is like a reverse, like Heart Charm or whatever, whereas it's their attacks do -20.
Interesting. I've heard those cards are rare too.
Yeah, they look like they are of a spec rarity.
Right.
See a beach by Alex.
Opening Seismic Toad again.
I mean, you gotta imagine he only runs 1 or 2 at best.
Not ideal, but he is going first, so it could end up not really mattering. You know, he still gets the Litleo attached to the Litleo. Floats. He doesn't attach to the Litleo, but he could attach to the Litleo, floating up the.
And I mean, he drew into the beach, which I don't think he's running Skyla, is he? So I mean, just drawing into the beach is really nice.
Yeah, definitely. Alex Koch, I believe, is from Spokane.
I believe, yeah.
Which is Eastern Washington, which for those of you who don't know, essentially there's Seattle, which is in Western Washington, and that's kind of where everything else is. If you've ever heard of Tacoma, Olympia, Bellingham, those are all Western Washington. And then about 4 or 5 hours east.
It's about 300 miles. It's right near Idaho. So.
Yeah. There's Eastern Washington, which is just kind of a big desert.
A lot of your apples will come from there.
Yeah, apples and onions and nothing. There's not all over there. There's a college over there, but it's kind of secluded and not really what anyone thinks of when they think of Washington. And there's certainly not very much of a Pokemon presence there. 2011 Washington State champion was from there, but I don't think we've seen many other players really break out. Well, the guy who lost in top 8, Richard Reynolds, was also from there, and I think him and Alex test together, so 2 testing buddies in the same top 8 from Spokane could maybe Eastern Washington's on the comeback trail.
Meanwhile, we have Kevin, who is representing the Oregon crew.
Yes.
Really strong showing by Oregon.
Let's see.
Sure. I mean, I don't think it was represented well in this top 8, but
no.
I mean, I think if you look in the top 32, I think you're going to see like the Chris Browns and the Mia Violets and.
Yeah, Mia Violet made top 16. We got 11th at this tournament with Dustnor.
And she finished 8th at Worlds, correct?
16th. Or she finished in the top 16.
In the top 16. I think like 11th maybe or something.
Yeah, something like that. But looking at the top 8, Joey Gaffney's from BC. Not sure where Brian Hill's from. Chase Maloney's from BC. David Cohen's from Washington. Alex Koch from Washington, Sam Chen from New York, Richard from Washington, and Kevin from Oregon. So pretty even distribution. A lot of Washington, I suppose.
And Kevin normally judges the bigger events, just so to see him playing is a little interesting. He told me outside, way earlier during the Swiss rounds, that he really wanted to put an effort forth towards getting the invite and playing more this season. So obviously a good showing here in his, I think this might be his first regionals of this season, and to see him in the top 4, possibly up 1 game in the top 4, possibly going on to play the finals.
Yeah, Kevin's a great guy. I love Kevin. Not his first tournament, but the first tournament I ever saw him in, he absolutely destroyed me. I think it was round 5. We were both 4-0 at Oregon regionals, and you know, when you're paired against a new player, I'm not going to say that I think that I'm going to win, but you certainly have a possibility of underestimating them or kind of, you know, just not knowing how good they are. And sure. Kevin was good. You know, we had a close game, but he ended up beating me, and he impressed me that day. He went on to top 8 that tournament, I believe. And he usually judges, but when he plays, he's done fine. And if he's trying to get in right this year, there's certainly the first step.
For sure. Another cool thing about Kevin is he owns a Camaro, and I own a Challenger, so we often joke about that. I actually now want to own a Camaro as well. So
he owns the Transformers Camaro.
He does own the Transformers one. It is awesome. It is the yellow, the Bumblebee.
And there's a Juniper for Kevin. After Alex places 3 Litleos on the bench. Energy on that Virizion, a little bit of a risky play.
Definitely risky, but I don't think it's too bad. I do know that he does have he does have at least 1 fire in his discard, so I mean,
Alex
I don't think it's too bad.
He has a DC on the Litleo already. All he needs is Pyroar fire.
Oh, that's fair.
He just kind of.
But then again, Kevin might not be running like Do we know how many energy switch he's running? Did we see any last game?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Wow, this is just
That's quite the Juniper.
This is just him understanding that he can just completely tilt his matchup in his favor if he can just hit.
There's the fire and there's the Ultra Ball, it looks like.
Okay.
So that should be.
Again, this is a very. I don't even think this is much of a calculated risk, wasting all those resources. Like, he knew that. He was likely going to hit a Pyroar or an Ultra Ball, you know, and just tilt this matchup.
The only resource he needs is that Pyroar and the fire energy.
Right. And a Pal Pad.
Yeah, Pal Pad kind of undoes all the resource losing we were talking about. I imagine that he'll actually just get 2 Junipers here. I don't think he wants it, and I think he's going to go up. And if anything, he's going to want more consistency in his deck.
It's crazy. We can already see that this series is likely going to go 3 games. It's going to be awfully hard for Kevin to recover from this.
Yep. And looking over at our other semifinal match with Chase Maloney and Joey Gaffney, 2 senior division rivals. A couple years ago when they were in seniors, are still playing. We'll definitely update you as to how that goes.
So we did see a knockout on that Virizion. Kevin losing his first attachment. Now he just kind of has to reboot and figure out what his best course of strategy is. Hopefully he'll have an enhanced hammer this turn to get rid of that DCE. But again, it's very likely that Alex is going to take another 2 prizes this turn.
Indeed.
I mean, if you're Kevin at this point, you have to have some crazy, like, I'm not entirely sure what his play at this moment in time is, but
I mean, to be completely honest with you, if I'm Kevin and it is currently 11:30 p.m. on a Saturday night here in Vancouver, I'm probably going to concede this game pretty soon. There's certain games that I think are probably unwinnable. This one, I'm not going to count Kevin out of this game entirely, but I think certainly there's a certain opportunity cost associated with playing this out.
Right.
Which certainly you're not going to scoop too early in a top 4 of a regionals game where the matchup's going to go fast anyways. We don't have any risk of going to time, but I'm sure it's in the back of Kevin's mind.
For sure.
And there's an end to 4 and 6, and this is how Kevin ended up winning last game. Just end Alex pretty low and moved on.
Virizion.
And Kevin's forced to pass the turn, gives a little shake of the head, knowing that he's not in the best spot. There's a switch and a Lysander.
Wow.
It's going to be perfect. But, he has to play the Juniper to find the energy. Discarding 2 Lysanders, which could matter later, but if he has the energy, it's probably going to be game.
I mean, depending on Alex's list.
He missed the energy.
Wow.
There's the enhanced hammer there. He missed the energy, but because he enhanced hammer, he basically reset Kevin's turn anyways, and probably just puts us back in this mode where we can repeat all the same things we said last turn regarding Kevin's turn here. There goes the grass on the Drifloon. And I think you have to end here.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Just have to put him back down to 4. Hopefully he'll miss again. Hopefully he'll give you enough turns of whiffing to be able to build something up.
And even then, like, you're looking forward, you're trying to figure out what Kevin's, his ideal plays are here.
Absolutely.
I guess his ideal play is to get a knockout this turn, or next turn, rather. You're going to have to hope he whiffs. Going to have to hope that you get that Drifloon online. Hopefully he'll take a prize off of Pyroar and be able to end him down again, or he just won't have the resources to keep, hitting that number, hitting 90, hitting 110. 110 is actually a little difficult for that Pyroar. He needs to discard an energy, and he has to have a muscle band attached. So hopefully this Drifloon can just stay up for a couple of turns and get a couple of Pyroar knockouts.
Definitely. And there's a Virizion. Kevin kind of shaking his head in disgust at this hand.
Yeah.
Knowing he doesn't really have a whole lot going on. Passes the turn back. Still no energy. Oh, there's a Professor's Letter off the top. Oh, he has the energy hand. I apologize for that. Bike. Well, 1 finds the tropical beach, which will not be relevant. And
Oof.
there's the
Yeah.
Lysander.
This is very rough. It's rough that he hit that Lysander after junipering 2 other ones away.
Definitely.
I mean, and now if you're Kevin, I just don't.
For what it's worth, I don't even know if I take the Lysander drift from there.
No.
I probably just take the knockout on the EX.
Right.
I'm not sure how many special energy are in Alex's discard pile though.
And there's a
Yeah,
scoop
Kevin's
over
gonna go
here.
ahead and scoop him up.
Yep, and Sam Chen is ranked.
And we're moving on to game 3.
Sam Chen is taking a nap on the table in front of us.
Alright, who are you putting your bets on for this last game?
Well, Kevin will be going first. He did go first in game 1, I believe. We saw what happened in that game. Obviously, how this matchup generally goes is, well, he's had 2 Seismitoad starts, so that's very unlucky. But Kevin going first means that as long as he doesn't miss attachments, he's going to get at least 1 Emerald Slash off regardless.
Right.
So, I mean, that's good. Hopefully, if you're Alex here, you do not want to see a Seismitoad. It's just kind of like the Blastoise matchup. That Seismitoad is essentially 2 free prizes.
Right.
You can do a lot of things. You can 2-shot it with a Virizion, which is obviously your best play. But no, I think I don't know. I really like Kevin's build here. I really think that this is it's definitely not 50-50, but
No.
I think that it's definitely. What do you think like a standard Pyroar against a standard Virizion Genesect is like a 75-25 matchup
Against no.
with no Pyro counter? Is it
I
like
mean,
80-20? Like really
I
bad?
think the most you can ever count in Pokemon is like 75-25.
Right.
Just because I think of like the way the games go, I don't think that you can go much higher than that. But yeah, it is definitely what I'd classify as an auto win.
I mean, with here, like, Kevin going first and his build being what it is, and Alex having the Seismitoad start factor, I honestly think that this is probably like a 40-60 matchup in Alex's favor. So, I mean, he definitely cuts the margins a little bit.
That's probably fair. With Kevin going first, it's probably somewhere around there. Probably maybe a bit worse,
A little bit.
but it's certainly possible.
I mean, like, for Kevin, you just want to see your ideal starter here. You just want to get a good turn 1. And then for Alex, I think it's important that he gets a fire down on the first turn and not a DCE.
Definitely. And there's 7 cards. I mean, I would say this matchup with Kevin going second is probably 65-35.
Right.
And then going first again is maybe 60-40.
Right.
But I think that's probably even being generous to the Virizion deck.
So we do not see a Seismitoad start, but we do see a Genesect start.
And Kevin do the switch off the top, so hopefully he can find a Virizion and switch to it, and also attach to it. Again, as you said, in this spot going first, you have an uninterrupted Emerald Slash.
Right.
Which is really important because then it makes Alex deal with the Virizion and then the Genesect, so it kind of lets you basically put some free damage on the board, maybe if he doesn't have it, because he won't have a Pyroar by then, and then be able to attack with the Genesect later.
Right.
But Kevin doesn't look too happy about his hand, and he's getting a Jirachi. That's a beating. He looks pretty upset.
I mean, in theory, it shouldn't matter. I guess Alex could do some wonky stuff with like a...
I mean, the Jirachi won't matter. I just think it's the fact that he couldn't just Ultra Call Virizion and then get card advantage off of it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the fact that he has to go for the N. Although he has the energy in hand, so I'm not... He must not have had any other supporters. So now, all the things we just said about Kevin going first, if he doesn't hit the Virizion energy, are just undone, essentially.
Right. And that's tough. You definitely Virizion Genesect, that turn 1 attachment, I would say that's probably the biggest thing.
Definitely.
You miss that, you just give your opponent the advantages if they're starting, and it's even worse if they have a deck that can attack. Yeah, so Kevin really, if he doesn't see a Virizion off of this end, he at least has to see a Grass Energy. Because even attaching a Plasma turn 1 is no good. Doesn't help you, can't do anything with it. Helps you later in the game, but So he does get the Virizion, and he does get the grass.
Wonderful. That's a great start.
Yeah.
And by that I mean that is a great start to possibly winning the game. That is not necessarily an amazing start to the game, considering he still has the Genesect active.
Right.
That is where he needs to be.
I mean, it could have just gotten ugly, though. So
Definitely.
To have your turn 1, you know, at least not be like you're ugly, like where you start like grimacing, trying to figure out what you're gonna do in later rounds, like.
Certainly.
So hopefully, I see the energy in hand. Hopefully, he'll be able to get the switch, and from there, we should have a game. Ideally, if he could get a switch and a muscle band here.
Yeah, that would be huge.
And
I assume this Ultra Ball is just going to go ahead and get another Litleo. Don't think
now,
really.
what does Litleo's first attack does 60 for 3, right?
I'm honestly not sure.
I think it does. I think it'd be too good at 70 because theoretically,
you could
he could
muscle
just
band.
Blacksmith, muscle band, like.
Right.
Like we were talking about this, but I'm pretty sure it does 60.
I don't assume we'll see too many 3 energy Litleos attacking.
It's definitely an interesting scenario. We were talking about funny things like that you see where occasionally you hit a Trubbish with a pound and you attach a DC and muscle band and all of a sudden you're hitting for 80.
Definitely. I mean, Dustin Zimmerman wrote a whole article about the minutia and making decisions like that, you know?
Yeah.
Always choosing the correct basics for those, you know, 1 in a season odds where you need it.
In my matchup earlier on stream against Brick Pybus, I had to Color's Machine to retreat a Genesect and then Shadow Triad for it back so I could triple draw with Kangaskhan. It was very, very... I just grimaced. I told Britt how bad it was going to look on stream.
And there goes the energy that was on the Virizion. That's pretty unfortunate. Kevin is definitely not where he wants to be. Skylove there.
So he attached the plasma. Sorry, we got a little sidetracked.
Yeah,
he attacked the plasma and then he got it enhanced hammered away.
Yep. Skylar gets an Ultra Ball. Whatever he discards is just going to get a Pyroar, I'm sure.
And I mean, now he's going to have to Emerald Slash into a Pyroar for nothing. That's never fun.
Definitely.
Whereas he could have potentially at least been putting some damage on a Pyroar, or on a Litleo.
There's a Blacksmith in his hand along with a Megaphone and a Pal Pad.
What do we have going?
You won? Chase Maloney advances to the finals. Chase Maloney, my good friend and teammate, told me earlier that he had never done well at this hotel, and this hotel was cursed, and he could never win. So, you see, he's in the finals. That's a pretty big game. I think it's interesting how the expanded format works in this sort of tournament where there's no day 2 Swiss, where like the deck that brought you to the top 8, it just means like you don't play it. You're just playing a deck that didn't. You know what I mean? Like you're just playing a deck that didn't matter at all.
I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, with some of the Virizion Genesect builds, like the differences are 4 and 5 cards if you decide not to run a Pyroar counter and stuff like that. All you really do is add a couple enhanced hammers, drop your switches for Sky Arrows.
Right.
So that deck really just, it's more interesting to me that some decks just, you know, completely come back. Like you have a Selgor Trevenant and you have Blastoise and Raywar and Ray Eels. Decks that, you know, we just didn't see much of, or we saw either a lot of last season or we didn't see at all because the cards weren't in format. So that's far more interesting to me than people who just decide to play a deck that's in standard format but with better cards, essentially.
Right. I'm not sure that there's really too... I mean, I think, there's not too much stuff you can really do that's all that different than what we've seen recently, aka decks that are in standard but upgraded. And also, it's probably just too big of a risk to do that, you know? In the tournaments where you have a 5-round expanded, on day 2 you can kind of make a different decision because you have to play decks better against the field, and you get to play decks for multiple rounds. You know, you can let variance be on your side a little bit, but in this kind of format, I just think you have to go the safe route. Kevin's shaking his head in disgust. He's going to have to attach with the Colorless Machine and then immediately use that energy to retreat to be able to Emerald Slash, it looks like. But, I mean, Alex isn't really getting anywhere either. He's the Pyroar with no energy on board. I'm not sure what's in his hand.
See, I think I remember a pal pad and some.
There's a bunch of. Oh yeah, he beats right. He has a ton of cards in hand now. This matchup would be a lot better if Emerald Slash let you go to 2 different Pokemon.
Right.
Just get 2 Genesects and load 1 on each, and then play a heavier count of energy switch.
Yeah, the problem here is that he can't be Lysandered. He can be Catchered. This turn at least. So, I mean, if we see, like, something crazy, like a Blacksmith and Catcher, you know.
I don't... Now he can definitely be Lysandered if he has the... Nope, he just has the Blacksmith bringing back the 2 fire. Kevin looks pretty disappointed in himself. And there's the knockout. Going into 4 prizes. Kevin's likely to probably just end up that Genesect. If he really needs to, he can probably dig for a Skyro Bridge, but nope, chooses to end up the Drifloon, take the straight play. Not sure how I feel about that. The Drifloon still has 1 retreat.
I mean, it sets it up so now, like, a DC Lysander just pretty much steals the game. Does he... I don't even think Alex has 2 special energy in his discard, correct?
Does
he have... I think...
Unless he's discarded them with Junipers and other effects like that, I don't know if he has any.
I don't think... He might have discarded 1. I'm not sure. Kevin looks like he's in agony here.
Yeah, definitely it's not a good place to be. There's a Shauna that's not where you want to be.
I mean, I'm not even sure at this point, like, what Kevin's path is, what he should do. This Drifloon is pretty big for the later stages. I'd like to see it more used as a sweeper, whereas, you know, I'm not even sure. Like, this is just a really tough spot for him.
Definitely. There's the Sky Arrow. Oh, but no energy. What a dagger. Wow.
Wow. Does he have an energy switch? Not even...
He does, but it doesn't do anything. Or maybe he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. That's the last card in his hand. That is... Wow, that's got to be frustrating for Kevin. He just passes. Top deck is a computer search.
Wow.
For Alex. Computer search finding a Lysander. He hasn't Lysander in hand. Computer search finding a Lysander. It's going to be pretty tough. And that might actually just be the game. Discarding 2 Juniper just for the rub-ins. Lysander was late in the deck. I wasn't sure it was in there. There's the Pal Pad. Gonna put those Junipers right back in.
Wow, this is just...
I actually probably would have played the Lysander.
Yeah.
And then, I guess Juniper Blacksmith's fine, but you can also definitely play the Lysander and then Pal Pad.
Right.
Put the Lysander back in. But
and I mean, you see kind of Kevin just, you know, with the look of, hey, there's not much I can do here, like...
Right. Tough for you. And there's the Lysander. There's the knockout. 2 prizes left. Kevin draws for turn. Grass Energy. Grass Energy, Shauna, Virizion Energy Switch, it looks like.
This is...
I mean, if you're Kevin here, you can retreat to the Drifloon at least.
Yeah.
Make it so that
the problem
Alex
with that is he doesn't even have 2 DC in his discard.
I mean, it's just if you leave the Virizion up, he can just attack and win.
Right.
If he has the energy. Which you assume he does, and not being able to end there is big.
The Shaunas are definitely an interesting touch with people playing with cards like Bicycle.
I mean, the other thing that you have to remember here is that I'm sure Kevin looks sad, and he's certainly sad, anyone's sad when they lose, but it's not as if he didn't know this, right? It's not as if he didn't know he had a very small chance of winning this matchup from the beginning, from 7 a.m. this morning when he, dreamed of playing Virizion and expanded. Like, I'm sure Kevin is going to be totally emotionally fine after this loss. If he does indeed lose, I guess you can't never count anyone out. Top deck is a tropical beach. And there's a blacksmith. Touching 2 to be active. Pyroar. You can't split them up, right? It's attached 2 to one of your fire Pokemon.
Yes, it is 2 to 1. I originally misread the card and I thought it was 2 to anything.
I mean, that would just be strictly better.
Way better.
There's a beach there. And there's the knockout, and that should be game. Kevin draws first turn. I think Kevin almost went to scoop his cards up. Like, went to grab his whole deck, but I think that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else he could do.
I mean, this is just a really good showing by Kevin, who, again, does not play every event. He mostly judges. So for him to even make the top 4 in his first regionals this season was quite impressive. I
mean, it's a good showing for anyone, you know, even if you play. Kevin's a fine player.
Yeah, I don't doubt him. I'm just saying that, like, he doesn't see a lot of tournament competition. You know, he doesn't face a lot of high pressure. I have no doubt that he probably played just as good as anybody who, you know, has played 3 regionals. You know.
Right, absolutely. And there's a super hard. Kevin, I think, is just wasting time at this point. I don't think he has an answer. And so it looks like we are moments away from seeing a Pyroar mirror in the finals of regionals. There's an Ultra Ball.
Does he have maybe like a Mewtwo or something? Nope.
Even the Mewtwo wouldn't matter. It's against a Pyroar is the issue.
I meant just a stall, perhaps.
Oh, right. There's the, he probably does have a Mewtwo, actually. There's the Anim. That's probably going to be a bit too late.
We are now joined by Colin Ball.
You can tell by the way that Kevin's shuffling.
Yep.
And his mirror. Never seen a person so sad after earning their opponent to 1.
He's getting 6 cards.
Yep.
Unfortunately, none of them are crushing camera.
There's the 6. And so we're going to say handshake pretty soon.
I mean, Kevin, like, it's an unfortunate situation, but, like, he has to know.
He knows how this works, and he's not new. And there's the handshake. Alex Koch advances to the finals. The Vancouver, British Columbia Regional Championship to face Chase Maloney in the Pyroar mirror match. That will be happening in probably just a few minutes. I assume everyone wants to get out here. So we are going to go to break real quick and then come back with that match.